You can look at them. I'm not going to repeat all those things. But you will see that it is a multiple role. And that takes us to another question. What is the role of educational leaders? Is it just sharing, enhancing learning? But that will be actually ignoring the challenging administrative context, because there is that aspect also within the education systems. No matter how the technology is developing, I mean, now education is becoming so sort of technology-oriented that we are running at universities many programs and courses which are technically don't involve any aspect of face-to-face learning. They are totally distance learning or virtual learning, and there's no aspect of teacher-learner communication, face-to-face interaction. But communication definitely is there through technology, through discussion boards, blackboards, and things like that. But then there is another aspect of sort of managing all that. So what is the leader's role? Is it giving the vision, creating an environment, challenging intellects, developing critical abilities? Then what about the finances, the infrastructures, the day-to-day running and management? And if all that is the leadership role, particularly when we come to the institutional leadership, then what is the limit? What a leader can do or can achieve? We can think about all these models which are put up there, and I just put these two up for example. If you look in the literature, there are innumerable models. The point that I try to make by putting these up is that no model is the ultimate answer. And that's why people keep bringing up new things. We keep revising them. We keep recreating new models and new concepts and new theories. And that again is the innovative mind. We are adding value. We are creating new things which might have worked in one context at one time, but they don't fit the new time, so we change that. We bring something else. We add to it. So please, I've talked to some people and we say we are using this model, that's it. Don't think that any model is an ultimate answer and it will work forever. Even if it is working in your context for the time being, it may not work tomorrow. It may not work 5 years down the line. So look critically even at that model which is most successfully working in your context. Look at that critically and think how you can develop that, how you can still improve that, so that when tomorrow comes with its own challenges and its own demands, you are prepared to respond to that. And then you don't have to sit there and think, oh, the things have changed, so how is this going to work? As I said earlier, it is a very limiting term, and that's why you see the more recent sort of approach is leadership for learning. That is a more recent concept. Perhaps 5 years down the line, even leadership for learning will be an outdated concept and something new will come up. Because the instructional leadership actually was thought, sort of conceptualized in a context where the aim of the leader was perceived as being more related to learning rather than management. It's the age-old debate about is the leader manager or is the leader leading education and academic? And which I think Qasim also mentioned earlier, that do we need academics as and this leadership at this moment that I'm talking about is specifically about institutional heads. Do we need academics there, or do we need managers there, good business managers there? I think about 15, 20 years back, in the UK, this move started that perhaps business managers are much better at managing particularly secondary schools in the UK. Because universities are a different thing, they're more academic related, so this question hasn't come up there very strongly, but particularly at the secondary school level with their specific issues and challenges in the secondary education, with the age of young student, with the behavior issues, with the management resource issues, a lot of things. there has been this question that can business managers manage secondary schools better as compared to academic head teachers, head teachers who have developed from school teachers and have become head teachers? Do they have that sort of financial acumen to really manage the resources in the schools? And then some people from business backgrounds were appointed as head teachers in the schools also. And the huge debates started that what are the aims and goals of schools as institutions, because schools are compulsory education, which are in UK, and everyone has to go there. So when we are talking about compulsory education, we mean that everyone is receiving that. So if the leader is more from a business background, it is assumed that their goal or aim will be running the school more efficiently on financial grounds, on business grounds, rather than being more interested in about learning teaching. Their interest in learning teaching will be grades and achievements. So is learning grades, how many A, B, C grades students are getting? Or is learning something different from that? So, you see, a lot of debates. I am rather raising more questions, and I hope I'm not causing more confusion rather than clarity. But see, these are the real life issues in educational context, which we have to think about. And then, after a whole lot of debate, this experiment hasn't been very successful, and it hasn't gone ahead that way. So more and more academics are still, people from education background are coming into school leadership. But another thing is that in UK, a very large number of secondary school head teachers take premature retirements every year. And they just resign from their school head teacher roles because of this demand and stress of job. Because on the one hand, they are head teachers who are giving academic leadership. And on the other hand, it is expected that they should run the institution on best possible financial lines. Can they do that? There have been so many stress-related cases. There has been research carried out on head teachers. Because I'm in this specific field of research which looks into leadership management, so many people had health issues, stress issues. Retirement is highest among, premature retirement is highest among head teachers of secondary schools as compared to head teachers of primary schools because of the challenging context. And that leads us to think of leadership models which are more flexible and which fit into situations. And we were discussing informally with colleagues, including Qasim, that perhaps we need a different model of leadership where we need academic leadership, which can give vision to learning, which is leadership for learning, which can lead people to, young people to develop their learning abilities, which can guide the teachers as well. You see, to create a learning community of teachers, learners, leaders, where they all engage into learning. But at the same time, there should be a leadership structure, perhaps, where the business demands, the financial aspects, the efficiency issues, the resource issues are also attended to very carefully. Because whichever you neglect, it's going to damage education. Whether we are neglecting the infrastructure, the resource issues, the efficiency issues, or whether we are neglecting learning teaching. Whatever we are neglecting, in the end it is education which is going to suffer. It is learning which is going to suffer. And it, obviously, the aim as teachers is for us to try to improve learning, to try to enhance and contribute to learning. So, when I have been sort of thinking about this, I couldn't sort of give any conclusive things, what we really need to do. What I thought that I would sort of talk about here was just raise the issues and ask you all people to keep thinking about these. Because if we collectively start thinking, what is leadership? Why, I remember when in 95, I was a dean in Azad Kashmir University at that time. And in 94, I asked the Higher Education Commission and through my university that I want to do a doctorate in educational management leadership, because I have been working as dean for 3 years, and I realized that we need to look into that. And I was told that there is no subject as educational leadership management. We have no funding for that. We don't give any scholarship for that. And we don't, I was, previous to that, I was professor in English language, linguistics. So why don't you go and do a doctorate in language and linguistics? I said, because I am in management, I am a dean. I'm no longer teaching English language. So what will be the sense of my doing doctorate? I'm not doing it for any promotion or anything. I want to do my job better. I was refused. So I was fortunate that I could finance myself. So I went there. I was the first person from Pakistan in '95 to go on to a doctorate in educational management leadership, and to the UK. And I did that, and then I came back. What I'm trying to say is that we need to think that this is something which we need to think about critically, to research, to find out what can work and what cannot work. And without developing our own abilities, we cannot be successful leaders. And without successful leaders, we can't have successful schools of tomorrow. Thank you, everyone.